And we're live. Thank you so much. Running a little bit behind this morning, or this afternoon, but hopefully it was worth the wait. We have a lot of great information to share. Today, we're going to be talking about the top foods to improve mental clarity and reduce brain fog. So thank you so much for joining us live. And those of you watching the replay, you can say hi in the comments below. I'm your host, Samantha Salmon, National Board Certified Health and Wellness Coach. And this is my beautiful mom, Dorrell Hylton. How you doing?
Hello. How are you doing? Good.
Great. So, Ma, I would love for you to share, why is brain health important for you?
Oh man, it's as important as my eyesight. Because when you don't, your brain don't function well. You just don't do nothing well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's first. If your brain is not healthy, that's telling you something. So it's very important for you to take care of your brain um, by eating the right stuff that can feed the brain. Exercise as much as you can, and even communication with people. Like instead of stay and watch these things, videos on YouTube and all that, pick up the phone and call someone and talk. Get into conversation, share things. As long as it's not politics, because politics is not good for the brain. That I must say.
It's a really
Stay,
stressful time right now.
stay away from politics. And we will not get into it, but stay away from it. Someone just got arrested the night after the speech. One
Mm.
of our president person got arrested. I won't call any name. But politics can get you into big trouble. It causes you to start drinking and taking drugs, and it's not good for the brain. Keep your body free from smoking, drinking, and drugs. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't want to get myself in trouble when I say drugs. I mean, medication and unnecessary medication can really mess up your brain. It's very
Yeah.
important for me to take care of my brain because I want to remember that I have to eat and eat the right stuff. And I have to speak and with integrity and calmness and kindness and gentleness. And once your brain is messed up, you cannot be gentle, you can't be kind. You become irritable and forget who people is or forget where you if you go upstairs or you're coming down, forget where you're going.
Yeah.
So it's important for me to take care of my brain. I do it for me, honestly.
Yeah. That's all great points. Um,
Mhm.
I have just you on the screen for a moment because I'm running really behind right now. Still trying to get myself together.
Well, I think you have too much on your plate, to be honest with you. That's not good for your brain either.
Well, God is leading me, so he's gonna make sure that it all works out. All right. But thank you for sharing all of that. Um, because it's important for us to ground ourselves in why we're here and why this conversation matters. Make sure you put a pin in what you were saying about the politics because I apparently have not been keeping abreast of what's going on in New York. So
I just
you'll,
read it.
you'll have to
Plus,
let me know.
I get the news on my phone. So as soon as the news come in, I read it. And when I saw this person was arrested after the speech, huh?
Huh.
Okay,
I wonder
yeah,
what speech
it's
was
okay.
that?
Continue,
What?
continue with your.
Okay. All right. So today we're going to be talking about the top foods for brain health, right? And
Mhm.
so we've all established why the health of our brain is important. I loved how you touched on basically the community aspect, right? We can't show up as our best selves if our brain is not, functioning properly. Um,
I can testify to the community, but keep
yeah.
going, sweetheart.
Yeah. Well, what's your testimony?
My testimony for community is my community of faith. I just like how I get hungry for the word of God, I get hungry for the people of God.
Hmm.
So I look forward to going out on Sunday and meet those are my family. My family away from my families, if you know what I mean. Those are
Hmm.
my faith family. So it's nice to communicate and talk because everybody have a different story.
Hmm.
And it's not like when we're talking about God, 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 God. No, we're talking about people and what people are going through and what this one is going through and this one need help and this one need help. As a matter of fact, let me give you a um, like, God work in a mysterious way. And sometimes you have to be careful how you ask him to direct your path, because he directed me this week to reach out in the community to do something for someone who was very sick.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt so good that I'm having such a communication with God that I can hear his voice and I can answer it. Because
Mm-hmm.
Isaiah says, the question was asked, whom shall I send? And he said, send me, God. And sometimes we have to be prepared for that, because it helped, not just helping that person, but you would be surprised how much it helped you as the individual.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's clarity for the brain.
Yeah.
Doing something for someone, yes.
Mm-hmm. And also
Clarity.
to not overextending yourself, because I know there's a lot of folks in the community who take that to like a whole nother level, and they're in
No.
now a state of like codependency where they need other people to need them, and it creates like this really unhealthy dynamic. And there are a lot of
Okay.
folks like that in the church too. It's like they are so busy with the church, with family members, that they're supposed to be learning how to prep healthy meals, and it always drops to the bottom of the list because the
Uh,
church, the family, everyone else is number one except them.
but you know something? It's loving God first and then love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Then you love people. So you must take care of yourself first before you can help anyone.
Yeah.
And you have to listen to your body. Like, you cannot jump up every day and go do the same thing for the same person. You have to set boundaries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Healthy boundaries. Yeah.
You set boundaries.
So, first, in
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
conversation about the brain and why food matters, ultimately it's the gut brain connection, right? When we eat food, our gut
Mm-hmm.
microbiome, all the bacteria that lives in our gut,
Mm-hmm.
when it's fed what it wants to eat, it makes you happy. It sends messages to the brain, and communicates with the brain that helps you have a great mood, helps you have great cognitive function. Also, the gut microbiome, when it's healthy, you have a strong, healthy immune system. If the immune system is doing well, your brain is also doing well, right? If your gut is not doing well, and a lot of times that can cause inflammation in the body. If you have inflammation in the body, that will cause inflammation in the brain. The brain is now not doing well, right? So it's a whole. The brain is attached to our body, right? So it's all connected. What we eat affects this organ in right here above our neck, that is the organ of our personality, how we
The
think,
brain is
feel, and behave.
it's attached to the part.
Is what?
Yes. Exactly. Because it's all connected. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's all connected.
Yes, exactly.
It's all
So,
connected. Yeah.
yes.
That's why if the brain is not functioning, you're already dead. You're dead. You're just there. The brain is very, 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 very important. That's why you need good sleep, good rest. Like, I couldn't be talking to you now if I didn't get my 8 hours. I'll be
Mm-hmm.
groggy and,
Yeah, yeah,
sometimes 9 hours sleep.
yeah. Sometimes you need that rest.
But sleep is important. It's good for the brain because the brain get to rest. That's the only time the brain rests.
The brain is always on and working, even when you sleep. But at night is when it's cleaning
But
itself,
it
right?
when you sleep, yeah, like the
Yes, it
computer,
it
when you
has
turn it off, it,
exactly.
it
It's
need
like a
rest.
reboot.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like a reboot. It cleans itself, it gets rid of waste.
exactly.
Because we have a lymphatic
Mhm.
system that is part of the waste removal system of our body. There's the glymphatic that runs through the head region, right? And all of that cleaning is happening while we're sleeping. So it's essential for us to sleep and stay in sync with our circadian rhythms. There's the foundation to our
Yeah.
conversation today. is this really brilliant book that I would love for you all to read called Brain Food: The Surprising Science of Eating for Cognitive Power by Lisa Mosconi. Okay. And she's a researcher and a brain science, neuroscience researcher. And she has this quote in the book: a healthy digestion is key to removal of waste products, harmful toxins, and bad bacteria, all of which can harm our gut flora. That's basically all the bacteria, viruses, archaea, all of these microorganisms that live in our digestive system. She goes on to say cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, high fiber fruit like berries, and all kinds of leafy greens, as well as legumes and unsugared whole grain cereals are good examples of fibrous foods we should consume on a regular basis to ensure proper gut health. Now, that's the foundational, right? So basically, all plant foods have fiber. Meat, dairy, eggs do not have fiber, and we need fiber for a healthy gut, right? A healthy gut means a healthy brain, right? And that's all of it in a nutshell. This thing, the point that she made here about unsugared whole grain cereals, I think is really interesting because whole grains actually don't taste good at all without sugar. I mean, don't you agree, Mom?
Well, it all depends though. Like name one for example that don't taste good without sugar.
uh, Oats.
I have it without sugar.
How? What do you? So you don't put any sweetener in?
All right, everyone who listening, oats is nice without sugar. If you can take cinnamon, put your cinnamon in.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't like cinnamon, put nutmeg, grated nutmeg, the powdered nutmeg. If you want to top it off a little more, you can cut ripe banana or put blueberries in there and strawberry, and that's how I eat my oats without anything in there, without any sweetener. Because ripe banana.
And you like
sweet.
that?
I love it. Not like it, I love it.
I find when I put ripe banana in oatmeal, it tastes like something out of a box with some chemicals in it.
Okay, so try blueberries.
Blueberries is not sweet. So blueberries,
Try.
a bowl of blueberries is delicious to me. But ripe, fresh blueberries in cooked oatmeal, ugh, you just killed.
Try strawberry.
Strawberries aren't sweet.
Well, I had a bowl of oats this morning, and it's a steel cut oats, and I put nutmeg in there, but I have it with ripe banana, and I was fine. I didn't put no sugar in there.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting. That's how our palates are different, I guess. So this is really interesting for me because I'm learning from you, because I'm like, how could people naturally eat grains if it's not even appealing without anything processed?
You can add fruits to it. Fruits that is sweet, you can put it in there and eat it, and it's just as fine. Or you can cut up some dates in it and eat it.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, it's not worth it. I don't like the taste, but tomato.
Need to try.
Yeah. So let's talk about now prebiotics, right? We're going to go into prebiotics, probiotics, and postbiotics, right? What are they? What's the difference? Ma, you know what prebiotics are?
No, what is prebiotics?
Okay, so prebiotics are basically the foods. They're a group of foods that your gut bacteria eats. Okay, this is what in terms of if the gut bacteria were to rate the foods that it loves the best, prebiotics would be the number one, right? And so in the book, Lisa describes it like this. She says prebiotics are literally food for your body's good microbes. So not the pathogenic gut bacteria. The pathogenic gut bacteria, the one that's, causing issues, making you crave unhealthy foods, causing inflammation in the body, that bacteria loves processed food, right? But the prebiotics, they are rich in a distinctive kind of carbohydrate.
Which one is that? Yeah.
The prebiotics. called oligosaccharides. So you've probably heard of oligosaccharides before. That's the O in FODMAP, right? Remember, I think we talked about FODMAP before. I've written about it on the blog. Like if you're having issues with gas and bloating on this plant-based lifestyle, a foundational place to look is at the FODMAP. Sometimes it's not so much what you're eating, but the quantities. And if you kind of look at what the prescription of the FODMAP diet, where it limits certain foods because of these types of sugars that are in it. And the FODMAP, it's an acronym for all these different types of sugars. So the O is oligosaccharides. That is this group of prebiotics that the gut microbiome specifically really loves. So that's your onions, your asparagus, artichokes, burdock root. They're also in garlic, bananas, oats, like you mentioned. I think I lost my mom. I think her internet connection's not that great. That's really what the issue we've been having. So I'll wait for her to jump back on. For those of you who are here with us live, be sure to drop a comment in the comment box as we have a conversation about this while my mom jumps back on. There you go. It's your internet.
Yeah, you know what happened? We had terrible rain and wind yesterday, so I think it affect our internet because yes, it could be mine. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, because I noticed on your video there's a lot of pixelation, so there's like a lag there in the bandwidth. But no problems. You jump right back on just like you did, and we're ready to roll. So we were talking about prebiotics and all of the foods that are part of that group of oligosaccharides, right? So the bacteria in your gut, they eat these foods, the prebiotics, and they make postbiotics. Right? So we'll talk about that later, how essential the postbiotics are. But this part is essential, again, for a healthy gut, strong intestinal lining, to be able to absorb the nutrients from the foods that you're eating, to have a healthy brain, to have a strong, healthy immune system, right? Are any one of these foods that you eat regularly, Mom?
Yes. Onions, garlic, asparagus.
And burdock root, you've been juicing the burdock, right?
No, burdock? No, I don't do burdock.
No? I thought you were doing burdock with
root, no.
Apple, or that was dandelion. Okay, dandelion. Okay.
Dandelion, lime and apple, yeah. Favorite drink. And this time I add pineapple to it as you go, yeah.
Yeah, so there's so many fun ways. And so fiber is essential, right? We've already established that fiber is essential. Cruciferous vegetables, extremely essential, especially if we want to do our best to prevent cancer. But in terms of the brain, cruciferous vegetables allow for the strengthening of the immune system. They make for a very healthy gut microbiome. And in terms of metabolic health, I find cruciferous vegetables are really great in terms of feeling full without too much energy consumption. So like for folks who are on the journey of releasing excess fat, because when you have excess fat on the body, that drives up inflammation and it actually hurts the brain, right? That fat.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
With cruciferous, when you load up on the leafy greens and the cruciferous vegetables, because they are nutrient dense and calorie poor, you fill your stomach and without the excess energy that you're not going to burn, because we are not as physical as our ancestors, right? And yet we have so many calories so readily available to us in our food system right now, right? We, as a society, we're eating very rich, calorie-dense foods that are nutrient poor. And when you flip it on its head, when you start to focus in on the greens and crucifers being the foundation to your diet. So what are your favorite cruciferous vegetables, Ma?
I tell you, I love my spring salad. I love kale. I love chard. I love spinach. I love lettuce. I love, 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 love green leaf romaine. I can snack in it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love it. It's very sweet. There's a sweetness to it. I don't know if you ever tried eat it alone.
What kind of green?
Romaine, the green romaine, organic romaine.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very sweet.
Hmm.
Um, but all the greens are my favorite. I mean, it's hard to name one, but
Yeah. I'm actually going to see if I could do something live on the screen, if I can actually add something. Let me see if I could add something.
I love cucumber, which I snack on cucumber.
Mm-hmm.
Well, radish is not green, but anything that makes a nice salad.
Mm-hmm.
Celery is my favorite. I cannot do without having celery inside here. So it's like,
Oh, yeah, look at this. I can add it live. So I just added to the screen so we all have this information. You mentioned a lot of leafy greens, which are great, right? Rich in
right.
omega-3 fatty acids, delicious, awesome, healthy, cool. Cruciferous vegetables, they're broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, kale, bok choy, collard greens, arugula, radishes. That's what I'm wearing today. I have my radishes on. Watercress, turnips, and rutabaga. These are the most common ones. I'm trying to see, is there something here that's missing? I think these are all the
Did
ones
you,
that I know too.
did you say cabbage?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the red and green is the same.
Yeah, they're both cabbages. However, the red or purple has way more phytonutrients. So, like from a cancer prevention perspective, this one is highly recommended more so. And even with the kale, the darker ones, the ones with like red and purple in them have even more powerful cancer fighting compounds in them.
Well, the red one is the one I tell you. I usually eat it raw. Like you do it in the food processor. Eat it.
Mm.
Yeah.
What kind of
Okay. So
dressing you put on that with the
you know,
raw?
I make my own dressing. Now this is where I use a little sweetener in it. I use a little. You don't want to hear maple maple, maple syrup or honey with my mustard and lemon juice and garlic
Okay.
and a little olive oil, and that's what I make to put on the raw cabbage. It's
Okay.
very nice.
Like a dressing.
Right. And I do the raw cabbage with the carrots and the beet.
And you don't find it, and so you grate the beet, right? You kind of shred it up.
Beet is sweet, so you really have a sweet, savory taste to it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Very nice.
So you find this salad is not
But I
too
make my
hard?
salad. No, because if you do it, you can also grate it. Like depends on the texture you want it. See,
Hmm.
when you do those things with your greens, there's not much to chew.
Hmm.
Just think of eating quinoa. You don't chew quinoa. There's nothing to chew. It's already chewable. It's chew up already. So
That's an interesting
I just
comparison, Ma, because I would never compare cooked quinoa with even shredded cabbage.
no. Well, let me explain to you what I'm trying to say. When I
Uh-huh.
shred my cabbage, it's so small
Hmm.
that you don't have much, and the little chewing you do, it's not much, because it tastes so nice in your mouth because you put a lot of stuff in it. It's not something you want to put in and then swallow it. You just
Hmm.
chew and then you swallow. Yeah, but it's not hard. No, if that's what you mean, it's not hard because it's
Okay.
in pieces.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And I find that the organic green, I've never tried anyone to eat it raw. I've never tried anything other than the organic. I find that it's pretty chewable. It's not hard. It's not.
Yeah. The leafy greens, yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm talking the red
Cabbage.
cabbage. It's not hard. No.
Hmm.
Mm. Red
So,
cabbage.
also, we want to include in this as we're talking about foods that are healthy for your brain, right? are fermented foods and probiotics. So specifically when it comes to ferments, these are probiotic rich foods that basically have the bacteria, the healthy bacteria. So when you eat that food, you kind of help to populate your gut with healthy bacteria, right? And these fermented foods, they include yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, miso, things like that. Do you use any of the? I mean, I know like growing up in Jamaica, were
I
probiotic
do
foods even a thing for you?
yeah, yeah. But I do the sauerkraut. That's with
Okay,
cabbage, and I ferment my own. Yeah,
interesting. Okay.
it's better.
Have you tried
It's better for
miso?
me to do my own. No,
Yeah, I've used miso and made like some dressings before. I'm trying to think if there was anything else I made with it. I did
miso is a seasoning.
it's let's see how they would describe it. I know it's like a organic fermented soy based product, I feel like. Yeah, it's from soybeans. So it's a traditional Japanese fermented
Oh,
paste, but it doesn't just come in the form of paste because I've gotten it in the form of powder before that I use to cook quinoa with it and just mix it
okay.
up, right? It definitely changes the taste of the quinoa dramatically.
Really?
But it does also come in the form of a paste, and it's made from soybeans, salt, and koji, which is a type of fungus. So this miso it's a rich probiotic food. So helps to support the gut, immune system. Um, but yeah, so the only thing that you're really doing in terms of probiotic rich foods and fermented foods is basically sauerkraut.
Yes, yeah, the sauerkraut at the moment, yeah. Because I could buy them in the store, but I'm always afraid of those preserve and things they put in there. I don't
And the
know if
sugar
it's the
and
same,
stuff.
but I'll have to look at the bottle because it'll be sometimes right. The sugar, that's what I do. I don't like anything sweet. I don't
Yeah.
like sweet stuff unless I'm sweetening it myself.
Yeah.
But the sauerkraut is what I like. Now that you remind me, I need to make some because I haven't done it in a while, and I have the ingredients here. Because they only take all this stuff to put in there, so
So we covered
but I have to get that miso.
prebiotics. Yeah, try the miso. See how you like it. And you would
Mm-hmm.
probably like it because you like tangy stuff. And
Yeah,
miso, I definitely put in that kind of sour, tangy type of
yeah,
taste. So we covered prebiotics. The bacteria, they like to
you're
eat
right.
the
Yeah,
prebiotics, right? Probiotics are beneficial bacteria that you consume the fermented foods. It has the bacteria that helps to populate the gut and become a part of this your family of microbiota, right? And then when the healthy bacteria eats the prebiotic, it creates postbiotics. So postbiotic are bioactive compounds that are produced during the fermentation process, right? During that digestion of the prebiotics by the gut bacteria. And the byproducts, those compounds, they include metabolites like short chain fatty acids, which you've probably heard of before, enzymes, peptides, polysaccharides, all of these things are beneficial. So really, we need to eat in service of these healthy gut bugs, you know? If we want to have a healthy brain, a healthy mind, healthy thoughts, healthy feelings, healthy mood, balanced mood, we need to service these healthy bugs with the proper foods. Um, And they're naturally, like the probiotics are naturally found in, oh, there goes mom again. There you go. You're back on. The
Internet, man, the internet.
Yeah, so the probiotics are naturally found in the fermented foods, but with the postbiotics, they're actually making supplementation around this now. I think personally, or maybe that's just a privilege, maybe I prefer to eat, but I guess there are people who cannot eat the food, can't digest the food, and maybe the postbiotic supplementation is beneficial to them.
Right. Okay, let me ask you one question. When you eat fermented food, at what point do you eat that fermented food? Before your big meal? After your big meal? How do you eat it? Because it's not like you can have it as a meal. Because you say it's good for people who get real gassy or whatever, bloated.
Also, in addition, but you don't have to just eat it for that.
Well, you can
right?
have
Because
it as a snack.
the excess gas is a symptom of it's a potential symptom of intestinal permeability, aka leaky gut, right? And you only have this issue of leaky gut if the intestinal lining is compromised, and the only way to heal that or prevent that from happening is servicing the microbiome with the foods that it needs. You understand?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in terms of how do you eat these ferments, you eat them with the food. So I remember I went to Poland, I think it wasn't last year's trip, it was 2 years ago. And I had a falafel dish. In the middle of the falafel, it was like a salad, a bed of leafy greens. It had some falafels, and kimchi right in the center. So it was part of the meal.
Right.
Sauerkraut, I think, in American cuisine, sauerkraut typically is the barbecue, right? That is the salad of the barbecue.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So you eat it with the meal. Miso, like I said, I cooked the quinoa with the miso powder. The miso paste I've used to make dressings, so you can use it in a lot of different ways. But obviously the yogurt you can do, however folks have yogurt, right? We have coconut yogurt, obviously not the dairy yogurt. You don't want to do dairy. But yeah, you eat it with the meal.
Right. Yeah. No, yeah. But you can make yogurt also. You can make your own. Because I know the yogurt, the dairy-free yogurt
Yeah, you
that
can.
they have
Yeah.
in the store, it has a lot of ingredients.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of it has too much sugar,
Yeah.
but you could definitely make your own yogurt. So these are the foods that we
Make
need
your own.
to
Right.
eat
Yeah.
to have a healthy gut, right? And have a healthy brain. Let's kind of talk about the foods to avoid, right? Antibiotics is a big issue. So antibiotics is not technically a food, but it is in our food. So first, in terms of the antibiotics, Lisa Mosconi, she talks about in the book that the microbiome, this is a direct quote, the microbiome is negatively affected by the overuse of antibiotics, since antibiotics are not fussy and inadvertently kill our good microbes along with the bad ones. So it basically works like how you would think of chemotherapy, where it kills the cancer cells, but it's also killing healthy cells. Antibiotics is indiscriminate. It's just killing all the bacteria. And like we said, we need healthy.
Good.
Yes. Right? Without that, our health is compromised. And so she actually talks about in the book how most European doctors, they recommend actually eating yogurt or taking a probiotic supplement before or with antibiotics to protect the GI tract and at the same time replenish the bacterial pool. So I know this question comes up for folks when they have a situation, and they have to take antibiotics, because you might be in a situation where medically you have to. But that's one of the things that a lot of the doctors have been talking about is that, in the medical world, a lot of folks are being overprescribed antibiotics. On top of the fact that they're eating meat, and the animals in these CAFOs, these concentrated animal factory organizations or operations, they're being fed antibiotics as well, you know? So folks are becoming resistant even to the antibiotic drugs, you know? And so it's just, they're getting their gut microbiome and immune system is being affected on both ends, from the medical system, from overprescription and overuse, and from the food system, again, overuse. I mean, we shouldn't even have to, if the animals weren't kept in these disgusting situations, right, where they're just like cramped together,
Age.
yeah, and they're like standing over their own feces, you know. I mean, it's disgusting. Yeah.
Yes,
Then we wouldn't have, you know, we wouldn't be inundated. And then you also have pharmaceuticals in the water. For folks who aren't drinking filtered water, we're taking showers in this tap water that has pharmaceuticals. So we're really being like, you know, inundated. Our body's absorbing so many chemicals that it does affect us. Yeah, it does affect us.
Yes, very scary. I want to know much if there's people listening, if anybody living in the New York area is experiencing what we experiencing with the water. When we turn on our tap water, and it doesn't matter what time of day, the water come out creamy like when you dissolve pills in the water. It's disgusting.
Yeah, maybe next time we go live, we can talk about that. The Environmental Working Group did an update to their tap water database, so I think that's worth looking into next week.
Yeah.
Lisa, she also, or Dr. Mosconi, she also talks about in the book that half of all meat sold in American grocery stores harbors drug-resistant bacteria that can cause severe foodborne illness. According to a study by the U.S. FDA, antibiotic-resistant strains of Salmonella and Campylobacterium were found in 81% of ground turkey, 69% of pork chops, 55% of ground beef, 39% of chicken meat all across the country. Even more disconcerting, federal data shows that 87% of all meats tested positive for Enterococcus bacteria and Escherichia coli, which is E. coli, which means that the meat had at one point come in contact with fecal matter.
Oh, dear Jesus.
Yeah. So this food ain't clean. So, you know, I love to use the terminology clean eating, right? And someone had said before, you know, when you use that word, it's so vague. You know, what do you mean? Everyone's definition of what's clean is a little unique to them, right? Some people 100% raw is clean for them. Some people high raw is clean for them. Some people whole food vegan is clean for them. But I am never talking about eating animal product, because that is not clean. I mean, literally, it is not clean. You know, from a physical perspective, scientific perspective, biblical perspective, it is unclean.
But we spoke about that before, how it get trapped into your colon, and it takes days before it can come out. So there's nothing clean about that.
Nope. No.
Clean is when you can move your bowels every day.
Mm-hmm.
That meat sits in there for a couple of days well before it comes out. So there's nothing clean about that.
Right. And specifically, I do want to touch on 2 eggs right now, because we have Egggate going on. You know, folks are, you know, they're on their health kick and they're eating a whole plate of eggs, right? Save your money, okay? Eggs are not clean. They're not helpful. I have here a screenshot that came through from the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. And they emailed out this study that was done, that was published in the Journal of American Heart Association, where it says eating cholesterol, which is exclusively found in animal products like eggs, may raise your risk of a heart attack. Researchers analyzed tens of thousands of diets and health records and found that for every 100 milligrams of cholesterol a person ate each day, that's about half of a large egg. Half, okay? Their risk of a myocardial infarction increased by 5%, right? So you're basically compromising your heart and your cardiovascular system with every half an egg, that you're
It
eating.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
Don't
So
worry.
you're raising your risk of a heart attack, right? You may be releasing the fat. You may be building some muscle. And at the same time, you are raising your risk of a heart attack, right? So save your money. Okay? Save your money.
Yes, eggs are expensive. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Let them stay expensive. Okay? And save your money. Don't eat it. It's not worth it.
Buy
All
your
right.
chia seeds and your flaxseed. That's your egg right there.
Yes, exactly. And we of course have to talk about processed foods, because processed foods they're a major threat to our gut. Specifically, yeah, you have the processing and everything, but the emulsifiers that are added to processed foods destroy our gut microbiome. Um, in the book, Dr. Mosconi, she talks about how emulsifiers are food additives. They improve texture, appearance, and shelf life. They're in ice creams, baked goods, salad dressings, creamers, dairy and non-dairy milks, right? So just because something is vegan doesn't mean that it's the best thing for your gut. So you have to read the ingredients. That's
Exactly.
kind of alluding to what you were saying earlier about like the coconut yogurts and stuff like that. The ingredients sometimes are just not the
And the
cleanest.
vegan cream on the shelf. No,
Yeah.
that thing is, I don't like it. It just make me sick. I use the bullet and I can make my ice cream in 2 seconds, and then I eat it before it melt away, and I
Hmm.
enjoy it that way. With fruits and whatever. But this vegan ice cream, it has so much things in there that some of them I can't even pronounce the name. Like, what is
Hmm.
that?
Yeah, that's what you need to, because a lot of times that's the emulsifiers and artificial ingredients and things. We just need to stay away from that. Dr.
Yeah.
Mosconi goes on to talk about how these substances increase permeability in the gut lining. They cause influx of bad bacteria into the bloodstream, right?
Hmm.
That sounds like sepsis to me.
Hmm.
And this in turn can cause colitis and intestinal
Hmm.
inflammation, such as irritable bowel syndrome. Okay.
Hmm.
IBS is no joke. That's like you have to basically be chained to a bathroom, because you're going all the time. You have diarrhea all the time.
And just
Um,
keep running. Yeah, right.
yeah. And then it also causes, of course, metabolic dysfunction. When you have metabolic dysfunction, that
Hmm.
compromises your brain health, because that can lead to obesity, high blood sugar, insulin resistance, right? And insulin resistance can manifest in all sorts of ways, not just Alzheimer's, but also polycystic ovarian syndrome, um, hormonal imbalance, because insulin is a hormone, and the hormones, they work in a hierarchy in rhythm with each other, you know? And
Yeah.
so when one
Hmm.
is off, it can sometimes affect the other ones.
Right.
Um, so she advises the next time you go to the grocery store, you want to look at the ingredient list, avoid anything that has lecithin or polysorbates or polyglycerols or carboxymethyliscellulose, carrageenan, xanthan gum, guar gum, propylene, sodium citrate, datum of mono and diglycerides, right? And so you may be like, what is datum? So datum actually stands for diacetyl tartaric acid ester of mono and diglycerides.
What
It's
is
a
that?
food additive that belongs to the category of emulsifiers. Um, and so, yeah, we don't know what this stuff is. We know it doesn't grow. you know, we know that there's no farmer growing datum. So,
I don't, once I plucked up out the ground or come from a tree, it's very hard for me. Very
yeah,
hard. Those words. unless I eat on a tree or I can pluck it out the ground. It's very hard, you know. It's like I
Yeah.
can do without it. That let's put it that way. That's when I go to the grocery store. Even if I buy something before and I know I went in and I read it, I'm reading again because I don't know over the past months if they change anything. So I
That's
make
the
sure I read
thing.
it each time.
Sometimes
Okay.
they do change. Even with, I remember at one point, I was recommending Skinny Pop, and the popcorn they had olive oil in the bags. That's what they use for the popcorn, air popped with olive oil, and it was like sea salt, popcorn, olive oil, right? Then
Mhm.
they switched up the recipe and then started using some cheap vegetable oils. And it does make a difference because those vegetable oils are highly inflammatory. Whereas, like,
Right.
if you're a somewhat healthy person, right, the olive oil popcorn, is better. It's not
Right.
going to trigger as bad a response, right? You're not going to heavily impact your omega-3, omega-6 balance as you would have in these
Mhm.
more inflammatory oils. So yeah, it's a really important point. Like, we have to just keep checking. If we're buying
Right.
processed foods, you got to keep checking. Um,
Mhm.
Also, the question comes in about gluten, because some people are like, well, what about gluten? Is gluten okay for the brain? She specifically says that, that, well, first, let me just start with the definition. Gluten is a protein, okay? It's a
Right.
protein that's found in grains like wheat, rye, and barley. Not all grains have gluten. Okay,
Right.
so just these few grains, and she says that some people have a bad reaction to it, right? So this is where you really need to take a bio individual approach. I know at the Plantation Conference, you know, all of their events that I've gone to, there have been doctors that talk about how damaging gluten is to the body. And there are other doctors, even doctors who are not vegan or plant based or whatever, they're like, you know what, you should stay away from all grains, And all of them, to me, the logic behind what they're saying makes sense.
Mhm.
And at the same time, we live in the society we live in where, like for us, for example, you grew up, you must have grown up eating a hot breakfast, because I know when I was growing up, you was like, you have to have a hot
Oh
breakfast.
yeah. Yeah. It have to be hot breakfast.
Yeah, yeah, because the
Yes.
American way, you
Yeah.
having a cold cereal, you like, nope, it's gonna be a hot cereal. um so it's like some of these things that have been with the family for such a long time is kind of hard to pull away from, especially
The
if,
tradition. Yeah. Right.
yeah, especially
Well,
if there's not broad consensus in the field around it. So this is like, do what you need to do, but just keep your eyes open and just know that sometimes gluten can work against you. So you just need to pay
yeah.
attention, to
Right.
how the foods you're eating is affecting your body. I know for me in particular, when I have gluten grains, my body retains more water. So I look fuller, thicker than normal. Um, but there are gluten free grains, right? That are alternatives. You could have amaranth, buckwheat, millet, rice, sorghum, teff, which means
Oh, I eat
Ethiopian.
all
We
those.
still in the game.
But let me ask you a question on this while we're on the subject.
Yeah.
Ever do a study and people after they pass a certain age if they're gluten intolerance?
I don't think age has to do with it. Um, but remember, everybody's gut microbiome is unique.
No, but what I'm trying to say, like sometimes when people are younger,
Mhm.
these things come up into their, when
the
younger, they're
the
certain.
yeah, but you see, that's the whole thing with the young and the old thing is more of like a um accumulation of toxic substances, right? So if something is toxic to my body, the body is very resilient and it can handle a little bit. So for example, with rice, okay, rice is gluten free, but I know for me, if I have a full serving of rice, like an actual what normal people eat, I
This is gluten
It's gluten-free rice. Yeah.
all rice,
Yes.
all rice.
All rice is
Oh, I didn't
gluten-free.
know that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but if I have a full serving of rice like most people do, I vomit that up. Like it literally comes, it doesn't want to stay, you know? But if I have a tablespoon of that rice, I don't have a reaction. You understand? So to me, it's
It's
more
like
like,
that.
huh?
Who eats like that?
What, a
A
tablespoon of rice?
tablespoon of rice.
Well, some people you have to. So like, yeah,
I said, who eats like that? That's
if you have food intolerances, sometimes you're doing things like this, especially if you're testing to see what foods work for you, what foods don't. And maybe like for me
okay.
personally, I have enough experience with rice to know that if I have a full serving, I'm gonna vomit that up. It's just not gonna stay down. So
Mm.
if I want to just have a little taste of it or something like this, then at most I can afford a tablespoon or 3 or 4
Okay,
tablespoons,
right.
but I can't do a whole bowl or whatever like other folks are doing.
That's
you
why
know
everybody have to know their body.
you got to know your body. Yeah, because everyone's unique. Everyone's unique, and the science can explain what's already happening, but it's not going to really tell you, it's not going to dictate to you how your body is working necessarily. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to know first, kind of like, okay, I'm having this experience, and then you
Yeah.
can find the science to back up as to why that could be happening. But each of us, we have to really experiment with our diet and just kind of find what works for us. So, if you want to now shop, go to the grocery store and pick up all your healthy brain foods. Here it is. There's a full list here of the
True.
produce you want to pick up, right? Your leafy greens, your cruciferous vegetables, um, your prebiotic rich foods. Lisa Mosconi talks about eating bananas underripe for the resistant starch. This is my take on this, right? You can get resistant starch from other plant foods, right? Like your potatoes, your rice, and things like this. I would not eat fruits that are not ripe, especially bananas, because they like to say, oh, bananas make folks constipated because y'all eating it not right. Like this is not what you do in the natural world, like eating fruits that aren't ripe. They don't even taste good, you know? So
First
don't do
of all,
that.
you could check with the West Indian. They are eat it not right. West Indian people,
What?
they
They're
will
not gonna
not
not
eat
eat
it
it.
if it's not
Yeah.
ripe. Banana
They're
is supposed to be ripe.
Yes. So West Indian people though, they
It's
do
supposed to be
eat
ripe.
green banana, but it's a different type of banana, right? It's not the same banana that we know as
Cooking,
fruit
cooking.
banana. It's a cooking banana.
It's cooking. It's called cooking banana. Cooking
Yeah.
banana.
Yeah. Which is different, completely different. You have to cook that. You have to cook it for it to even be edible. Um
Exactly.
So we also want the
Right.
fermented foods on the list, right? And mom, you mentioned that, you're making this stuff. You're not really buying them. The miso you probably are gonna want to buy. Um, Kimchi you're
Have to
probably
buy that. Yeah.
making.
Right.
Yeah, I like to buy. There's a farm here in Florida that services Whole Foods with their stuff, and they make kimchi. And I like it. I mean, they make like a lot of raw vegan stuff, and they have some of this other stuff like the ferments and things. Um, really clean ingredients. So you have your gluten-free stuff you could get, some whole grains, beans and lentils, high fiber foods, prebiotic foods, of course your nuts, omega-3 fatty acids. These things are very beneficial for the brain, omega-3s.
Right.
And then your beverages, green tea, great for the brain. Other herbal teas are really great. And of course, filtered
How
water.
about hibiscus? Hibiscus tea is good for the brain.
Yeah, well, hibiscus tea is great for blood sugar regulation, which then also impacts the brain. So if you can
Mm-hmm.
keep the blood sugar balanced, then yes, that's great for
Blood
the brain. I just had
sugar.
hibiscus today, actually, right before our call.
Which some people know it as sorrel,
Yeah, yeah,
which
exactly.
is the same thing.
Yeah. And this is a full list of what to avoid. So you want to check the labels. Stay away from high fructose corn syrup. Stay away from white sugar. Stay away from the emulsifiers. And you see a full list here. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Avoid all of that stuff. I think, if you avoid processed
Okay.
foods, um, it's very easy to avoid all that stuff because it's only found in
But you
the processed foods. I would
avoid that
love
sugar.
for, yeah, I would love for the folks here live with us. Any takeaways from today's session? I know I got requests the last time I did a talk for a community on foods that are great for brain health. Nothing really has changed. I think like the biggest change that I've seen is just being more mindful of sugars and sweeteners, even sweeteners that we think are healthy. Um,
Right.
for the brain, not so much. What about you, Ma? Anything new that you learned today?
The misco, which
Oh, miso.
miso. Yeah, but and not that I learned, but you reminded me about my fermented food, which I need to fix some. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I
But
struggle
everything
with
was very
with that.
informative and very with what
The fermented foods because I don't really like sour.
you struggle with.
Yeah, so I have to make a conscious
But
effort.
when I do fermented food and I'm having a salad, I don't need salad dressing.
Yeah, because you like sour stuff. You like that sour flavor. But yeah, I haven't really built up a tolerance. The things that I like, they say it don't really count. Like pickles and apple cider vinegar. But apple cider vinegar with the mother in it is, healthy. Like healthy for the gut microbiome, but I don't think it really qualifies as like rich in probiotics or whatever. Like not as much as these other
Pickle
foods.
is like ferment.
Yeah, I guess if you made
Yeah,
it yourself and
pickle
did a
though.
true
I don't mind.
fermentation,
The pickle they put like I think they put sugar in the pickle. I really think so because the pickle they says no sugar added, but sometimes it tastes sweet to me. So
yeah.
something is pickle, and when I eat it, it's not sweet. I make my own pickle,
Mhm.
and it's
Mhm.
not sweet like what they have. They put sugar. Sometimes you can try your own stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It's worth experimenting in the kitchen and trying it, especially to control the sugar. Because the
Yeah.
sugar is part of the fermentation process, but you definitely don't need as much as what you're seeing on the supermarket shelves.
Yeah, you just need I don't remember even put sugar in my fermented stuff when I do it. I don't remember. I don't remember putting sugar in there, but I
Yeah,
have to
because
go back.
I think the bacteria eats the sugar. So I believe that's part of it. I think
Oh,
you have to add it from my recollection. I personally have never fermented at the store. My husband and the staff, we used to make uh, um, pickles and things like our own ferments. But I was never really a part of that process, so I'm not really sure how they do it. But from my recollection, you need sugar for the actual fermentation process to happen.
I used to buy it at Fairway, but since they closed, I don't buy it no more. I make my own.
Hmm. All right.
But the
Well,
topic is pretty informative. Like it's 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 like a refreshers for some people who already probably know some of these things or so. But For the first people who are hearing it for the first time, it's very good information for them.
Yeah.
Very good.
Well, hopefully it was helpful. If you have any questions about anything, definitely make sure to leave it in the comments. I've been reading a lot of the comments on the channel. Thank you all for watching and engaging, and for sharing such really nice messages. I really appreciate it. And until next time, take care.